Daniel Venables here, dven at teacherscount.org. Welcome to my first talking blog. This is another attempt at me to provide a multimedia kind of blog, not just in text form. My former two blogs, my previous two blogs were video blogs, and Teach J suggested after the first one on 127 that I may try to just do an audio one. So I'm going to do that today and see how it goes. My topic today is rethinking teacher salary scales. You know, every public school teacher knows that teachers are paid based on pretty much two things: years of experience and the degree of the teacher, whether or not they have an advanced degree like a master's degree or higher versus a bachelor's degree. The question I have is, what if those two criteria show no positive correlation to student performance? Well, that's exactly what a bunch of Harvard researchers found, and I'm going to share some of that with you all today. I'm in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District, which is the 18th largest school district, and we're part of a consortium of schools that underwent a study from the Center of Education Policy Research at Harvard, and they were interested in looking at teacher employment patterns and student achievement in grades 4 through 8. And what they found, curiously, was that the degree of the teacher, whether or not they held an advanced degree, had no statistically significant bearing on how their kids performed. Now, student performance was measured based on what it always is measured based on, and that is state and, of course, testing. But they found that teachers that had an advanced degree, a master's degree, did not significantly outperform those teachers that had just bachelor's degree. More, they also found that the years of experience of a teacher, the other very common criteria used to decide teacher salaries, was not a significant factor in determining performance. That is, teachers that had more than 3 years of teaching experience showed greater increase than teachers that had less than 3 years of experience, but after year 3, there seemed to be no correlation between student performance and the number of years that teacher has taught. So the question becomes, if those two very commonly used and have been commonly used for a very long time criteria for determining teacher salary do not really correlate with student performance as measured by state EOC scores, what would be a better measure? And so this is kind of a continuation of my pay performance entry, which was my first video blog, and teachers had lots of comments to offer about the pros and cons of pay performance. I guess in my mind the question is, if we take the two most commonly used criteria, that is years of experience and whether or not the teacher has an advanced degree, and they show no significant correlation to student performance, then what do we use as educators to determine teacher salaries? Clearly, not all teachers are as valuable or as effective as other teachers. So there should be some scale, there should be some way of discerning those differences in terms of salary. But if those two main things aren't really coming up as valuable predictors of student performance, then what do we use? And again, we get kind of back to that pay for performance notion. I guess what I'd like to hear from you all as readers of this blog, or in this case as listeners of the blog, what do you think? If we don't use those two things, then what are we left with? And how shall it be determined? And also things like, will teacher unions ever embrace a scale that's not based on the number of degrees a teacher holds and the number of years experience that teacher has? These are things to consider, and I'd love to hear your comments and your questions about what this all implies. Again, the research that has come in on our district and a couple of other school districts that were used in the study shows that there's no real significant gain in having teachers have an advanced degree or having lots of years of experience. I myself, if I go back to the classroom, I would be at the 25 or 26 year mark, which would put me pretty high in the pay scale. I have a master's degree, that would put me pretty high in the pay scale. But if those two things aren't really showing student gains or student improvement or student increase or student effectiveness in terms of teacher effectiveness in terms of student performance, what are we left with? What do we do? Something to consider, something for you to think about, and please do respond. Also, I would like to know whether or not you prefer the video blog to the talking blog or the old-fashioned text blog. Thanks for listening. I'm Daniel R. Venables, and I'd love to hear your comments.